Thank you, Madam Gomes. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you very much, and thanks to those who presented, in my opinion, very comprehensive and a real true picture of what's happening in Sri Lanka, which is a continuation of gross human rights abuses, a decline in terms of democratic rights, and also attacks on media freedom and so on. I think it's unfortunate that some members choose not to listen to the independent information that is given, but that's their choice. In my opinion, it's quite incredible to attempt now to blame the LTTE. I agree, the LTTE was guilty of also gross human rights violations. The LTTE is finished, it's been defeated by the Sri Lankan army, and yet still tens of thousands of people are in camps as a direct result of the choices made by the Sri Lankan army in extremely difficult conditions. You have a real militarisation of the north and the attacks generally on democratic rights. Secondly, to attempt, well, when was I last there? I attempted to go to Sri Lanka 1 year ago and I was denied a visa by the Sri Lankan embassy because they didn't want an independent visit. I was glad that the Social Democrats were able to go, but unfortunately... Oh, I wonder why they allow you to go, yes.
I would like just to ask you to finish your statement,
yes.
And we have different...
Okay, the second point I'd make is that to attempt to say, I mean, 10,000 people being killed at the end of the war is a conservative estimate. Some estimates go up to 30,000 people. And why did this happen? Was it because people were used as human shields by the LTTE? Well, no. Independent reports, including the UN report, indicate it was a conscious policy of the Sri Lankan army to hem people in to a tiny area and then absolutely firebomb the place and kill people in a war crime. The main point I want to raise, which I think is important, is given the reality of how the massive oppression of Tamil activists now in Sri Lanka is the extremely bad situation whereby EU countries are deporting Tamil activists back to Sri Lanka. There was a recent Human Rights Watch report which gave a series of reports of people who had been asylum seekers who had been deported back to Sri Lanka and faced torture, detention and isolation for a period of up to a month, faced rape, extremely difficult conditions for those who were deported back. And I think it's something we in Europe should be aware of. And in particular, I just raised the case of a Tamil activist that I have worked with in Belgium who has been arrested and faces the potential deportation back at the end of this month to Sri Lanka. A man called Tas, his full name Muruganandam Murugatas, who is a Tamil activist here, works with me in Tamil Solidarity, and is currently in prison. And I think we should not be sending people back, Tamil activists, back to Sri Lanka at this stage, given what we know about the situation.